Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
We're going to be reviewing the RainPoint Smart Watering System next on Alan's Review. Okay, so let's say you go out to your garden and you want to water your lawn and stuff, but you got to go out there and you got to turn the knob yourself.
Or let's say you want to go on vacation and they say it's going to rain, and then you go on vacation and it was a blistering 95 degrees the whole time with absolutely no rain.
You come back and everything's dead.
Your garden or your lawn is completely dead. Well, that is what RainPoint is trying to solve here with their pretty intricate system. Let's go through it.
So I just want to be clear, they sent us the system for review, but they did not influence us in any other way. So let's just go through how this setup works and whether it's the right system for you. So what we got is the RainPoint Smart Plus watering system. It is the Super Experience package for $220. And what that includes is this: the irrigation display hub, which is $70 on its own, the smart 2-zone water valve, which you're seeing here, which is $70 on its own, 2 RainPoint Smart Plus soil and moisture meters, which are these right here, and those are normally $40 each. We got the Smart Plus water flow meter, which you're seeing here, for $27. We got the Smart Plus high precision rain sensor, which is right there, and that is normally $20. And we got the Smart Plus outdoor air humidity sensor, and that is normally $10, and you're seeing that here. So that came as a package for $220. So I guess my first question is, let's walk through how easy or hard it was to set up.
So the first thing that you're going to need is a Phillips head screwdriver, actually a couple of them, because some of them are smaller than others, and then you're going to need a heck of a lot of batteries.
Yeah, a lot of times nowadays you get a package and you get what you need inside of it in terms of batteries and a screwdriver. Here you don't. So if you're ready to go, you may not be ready to go, because we needed, for this system, I think we needed something like 16 batteries.
Yeah, and that's between AA and AAA. So, if you are planning on getting this, definitely go to the store ahead of time, because otherwise you're going to get it, and then you're going to realize you're going to need all these batteries, and you're going to take all the remote control batteries out of everything, and then your house isn't going to work.
I would use rechargeable. They don't last as long if you use the nickel metal hydride, but otherwise you're going to be going through a lot of batteries.
Yeah, I don't think that any of these use all that much power, but I think at least between seasons you're going to be changing the batteries.
All right, so we batteried it all up. That took a few minutes, and then we had to get each thing to talk to the app. So you're first going to download their app, which is called the Homgar app. And it didn't get very high ratings on Google. It was like a 2.5 star. And that's because, to me, it was just a very simple, straightforward, no frills app. It didn't really, the English wasn't great, but I will say it did work. Everything did hook up eventually. It's just that some things took 2 or 3 tries.
And the thing was, you had to hook up the main hub first, and then I think everything's actually hooking up to the hub itself, but you have to tell the hub
through the app.
So it's just, there's a lot of stuff to have to keep track of while you're doing it. And then, you have to put in the batteries, and then you have about 80 seconds for the thing to connect. I think the only one we had trouble on was the rain sensor. But overall, it worked. We got it to work eventually, but it's always frustrating hooking up wireless devices because obviously nothing goes click or beep.
Right.
It just is like, it worked, or it didn't work.
Here's a really key point. You have to have a 2.4 gigahertz router. And if you're like, what did you just say? I get it. A lot of us don't know much about what our Wi-Fi routers do in our house. There's typically nowadays routers that do both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, but there's also the old school ones, which are 2.4, which is what you need for this. And then there's new ones that just do 5. And if you just have a 5 gigahertz router, this will not talk to it. It's because the little switches in these things generally only talk on the 2.4 gigahertz frequency. So before you buy this, make sure that your router does 2.4 gigahertz. That's my big advice to you. The good news about 2.4 gigahertz is that the range is longer than 5. So we had no trouble going about 100 feet out to the garden from where our router was located, and everything talked to each other.
And what isn't clear to me is whether or not this particular item is connected via Wi-Fi, or if it's just that this is connected to Wi-Fi and then using a different radio frequency, it connects to some of the things in the garden. But we have a pretty big yard.
We were 100 feet away between these two items and they still talk to each other.
So I think that unless you're on something that you'd more call a property than a house, I think you should be all set.
So the idea is you can take this item here that you're seeing here, which is the 2-zone valve, and you can screw it into where you normally have your spigot. And then now you've got 2 zones. And so you could have one on, let's say, a sprinkler in the front of your house, and then bring the hose to the back of your house for a second zone. That's really nice. And what's really cool is that you can control that all from your phone. So you could be in bed or on the couch and you could turn on and off things. The next nice thing about this is that you don't even have to physically hit the button if you don't want to. You could program something in.
And that entails programming either irrigation or mist.
Yeah, mist is kind of cool. Mist means that you can set the interval for it'll water for a few minutes and then shut off for a few minutes, letting the water kind of soak in, and then it'll turn back on for a few minutes and you can have that pattern repeat. I thought that was pretty cool because that's the way plants generally like to be fed. They don't like to just be deluged. But even though that's really great, and I think it probably covers 80 or 90% of the use cases, I thought this was going to be even smarter because I thought, well, we've got, soil sensors and we've got rain sensors and we've got humidity sensors. So I thought we were going to get into like the molecular level of watering.
Well, and the other thing is that the valves actually measure how much water is going out. So it can tell you how many gallons you just used, but you can't tell it how many gallons you want to send out.
Right.
Because like even if I was half a gallon here or there, I wouldn't really mind, but it would be cool if it was like, okay, well, when this says that it's at 40%, maybe there's some time to calibrate some system. And look, I know this is complicated, but what you could have is a system where it's only watering to the optimal amount all the time.
Well, I thought it could actually do that for you. I thought you could say something like, I want to keep my soil at 70% at all times, just do it.
Right.
That would have been a nice feature. And then it could have been like, oh, it rained, so I won't bother watering today.
Right.
Here's the thing. You can set up things so that it's going to water and then it will stop watering if there's rain. And you can say to it, okay, for 24 hours after it rained or 48 or 72 hours after it rained, don't water. But
there's lots of different weather that isn't rain.
Well, but also you can't tell it how much rain. So you can't say, if we get half an inch of rain, don't water tomorrow. You just say, if it rains at all, don't water tomorrow.
And I mean, we don't know, it just doesn't tell you how it's gonna kind of calculate that. And the other point is, right now it's overcast and it's 70 degrees. The amount of evaporation happening from your soil at those temperatures and conditions, it's humid outside. So nothing wants to be evaporating. All of our sensors that were in the ground were saying that, yeah, everything's nice and damp.
Right.
I don't want to be watering in those conditions. You can get mold on some of your, kale and stuff like that. You don't want to do that. So it's just weird to me that it's like rain or no rain when you have something that's giving you a very accurate, discrete number of the actual soil. If they told us how to set it up and to do all this stuff that it could be smart, I would be very, very impressed. As it stands right now, I don't know what we really need these for.
Well, as you pointed out, it knows all the inputs, but it can't really control the outputs. It's leaving the smart part up to you, which is fun if you're like nerding out and you want to sit there for a while and look at things and decide things. But I thought the idea here was to make it automated so that my life was just like, okay, I don't have to worry about my lawn. This is more for people, I think, who want to know everything about their lawn and be involved more in the day-to-day to it. Yes, you can set up, like we said, you can set up schedules and stuff like that. I just thought they were going to be much more smart.
Yeah, I mean, my thought would be just get the dual valve sensor. They even sell a single one for like $40, and the hub. And then all you'd have to do is just set the schedule and forget it. Because I mean, who cares about this stuff if you have to go into your app to look at it?
I mean, I guess it's good because you can see how your, lawn actually is doing down below. It is nice that there are graphs here, so I can go into the soil sensor and I can look at some numbers like the temperature right now, and I can see that it's 84% moist, and I can see how much lux, so how much light the lawn's getting. I can go into the charts and I can look at, in the past 24 hours, how much the moisture has changed. And that's really cool too, but again, that's more if I'm a scientist and I really want to get into that. I kind of thought this was going to get into that for me.
Yeah, and again, if you're a scientist, I mean, I've met people who do this kind of thing, but then have it connected to some other kind of computer system that will automate it.
It is possible in the future that these guys could make a better app or use someone else's app because all the data is there. It's an amazing amount of data, and it's really cool. I do want to get into a few other things that you should know about, though. One that I didn't like was that the output ports on the 2-zone valve are made of plastic. And I know that we're all going to be careful, but you trip over a hose once in a while, and if you yank that thing and you snap that, well, you're going to have to go get a new valve. There's no repairing that. If they had been brass, I would have been really happy.
Yeah, now obviously a lot of this stuff is relatively cheap, especially for having all the interconnectivity that it has. And I think that they achieved a lot of that by switching to plastic in many of the different pieces of it. But you get what you pay for, I suppose.
Now this is really precise, by the way. This rain sensor is down to, I think, 0.1 millimeters, and that's really cool. So you'll know exactly how much rain you got. You'll know exactly how moist your soil is. Those are things that most homeowners don't know, because you can move that rain sensor and that soil sensor around to different parts of the garden and the lawn to find out, like, oh, you know, under this tree, it's completely different.
Yeah, I will say that if you do get the rain sensor, you have to pull off some tape. Basically, there's this little balance beam that fills up with water and then dumps it, and then fills up with water and then dumps it. And it's taped when they ship it to you so it doesn't get damaged.
Oh, and there's a little level here on the bottom. Make sure that you set this up on perfectly level ground first. So even out in the garden, it might be too sloped for it to work properly. So make sure you put that on a very level piece of ground.
Yeah, like a fence post. So I mean, overall, this is a system that, you know, kind of does what it says. It isn't as smart as I'd like it to be, but for the price, what do you think?
I think that if it could save you some money in terms of overwatering and killing your lawn, or underwatering and killing your lawn, that in itself could be worth it. Also, watering. Water's not cheap. So if this can save you from having to spend too much on water, I think that's really important. A lot of us don't really know. We come home from work, we throw the sprinkler on, it's been a hot day, and we're like, I guess half an hour. If this can tell you, hey, I didn't really need half an hour today, I only need 15 minutes, well, then you just used half the water on your lawn. So it could pay for itself pretty quickly just in water use.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you're willing to delve in and nerd out on some of this stuff and then have to, you know, schedule this accordingly, that could be very useful. But I think for a lot of people, that's a lot of time to spend on something that maybe you don't care as much about, and maybe just getting a simple watering system that just turns on and off, you know, for a set time every day accomplishes a lot of what this actually does. Now, of course, when you're on vacation and they say, it's a scorcher back home, and you go, oh no, it's 100 degrees, I should turn on the...
Just take out your app.
That's nice. That is a really nice feature. But again, it really depends on you and what you're going to do. Are you going to have a 3-week vacation somewhere? Then this is great. Are you not? You're going to be home all summer, only doing day trips? You're probably going to be fine.
Right. So to me, I like that it's a la carte. You can kind of pick the pieces that you need in your system. And I like that if you want like a full system like this, and they have a bunch of different packages, so you could kind of put together the one that works best for you. I think the price is great. I was really expecting to get this level of sophistication of accuracy to spend $400 or $500. I just wish that their app was, I don't know, AI smarter, and maybe in the future it will be.
And maybe there'll someday be a third party that can take all the inputs and give you some outputs too.
Yeah. Hey, and if you know about anything like that, maybe you found something like that, please comment down below and let us know. Also, let us know what else you'd like us to review, because as you see here, we do EV stuff, we do e-bikes, we do rain sensors. These are things that are going to make, hopefully, your life a little bit easier and more sustainable.
We'll see you next time on Now Let's Review.